Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
The Undertaker has, if his documentary is to be believed, taken his last ride, ending his peerless career the way it began by digging holes, taking souls, and riding off into the darkness like a true midnight cowboy. In a lot of ways, The Undertaker is the greatest WWE production of all time, one of the most beloved men in the industry, both on and off camera, and a legitimate phenomenon. We will leave it to WWE to present the Deadman's greatest hits, of which there are many, but what is light without the dark? Take our hand as we lead you through the crypt of all the ways WWE mishandled the Glum-Tum Tugger, Old Shooteronomy, Mr. Fistopheles, Grizza Heller, I'm Not Done, Jenny Annybotch, Mark Cavity, Bumple Geezer, Powerbomb Arena, you guys have seen Cats, right? Christopher Jones, Gloomy Gus, the Theatre Bat, No Longer Nimbleshanks, and Victoria. Alright, I'm done. Here are the 10 worst mistakes WWE made with The Undertaker. Number 10, I'm seeing double here. 4 takers. Editor Rich, you are not allowed to use the Spider-Man meme for this entry. At the 94 Royal Rumble, Taker was murdered by Yokozuna and his roughneck tribe of eclectic twats by being locked in a casket, blown up, and then ascending to, wait, heaven? Kayfabe, lads. Taker was written off TV so he could heal his back, but around SummerSlam, people started to see Undertaker out and about, going to the shops. I'm not joking. Ted DiBiase said he was bringing The Undertaker back, but then Paul Bearer said that Undertaker was an imposter. Cue real Taker versus fake Taker at SummerSlam. True juicy bullshit. Some people thought it was outdated camp in an era that was already saturated in cartoony nonsense. Some saw it as genuinely mythic and endearingly kitsch, but one thing is true. After all the pomp faded away, the match itself was a slow-release duvet fart, and its placement in the main event made a mockery of not only the Bret Hart-Owen Hart cage match, which was superb, but also the WWF Championship they were fighting for. Number 9, Bearer with me. What would classic Undertaker be without Paul Bearer, the Martin Prince to his Nelson Muntz, the Shrill Versurfer to Taker's Galactus? Well, considering how many times Bearer's betrayed him, happy probably. While Paul Bearer was absolutely crucial in Undertaker's initial run in the 90s and also in the introduction of Kane, which led to the revelation that Taker's mum had been parceled to a bit of Percy's Pringles, WWE used the Bearer character in one of the worst Taker angles of all time. At the Great American Bash 2004, Taker fought the Dudleys in a handicap concrete Crypt match, which is a full row on a shit wrestling bingo card. This main event, going on after JBL beat Eddie Guerrero for the WWE title via a fucking technicality no less, ended with Taker drowning his friend slash manager slash mother sex uncle in cement in front of an equally dead crowd. This took place only a few months after Taker re-adopted the Deadman gimmick at Mania 20, and a decade on from SummerSlam 94, it was exactly the sort of Undertaker hokiness that fans did not want to return with the gimmick. Speaking of, number 8, murder! Undertaker has killed a whole bunch of people, which is smart for an Undertaker, supply the demand and all that. AJ Styles is an intercontinental ghost after being buried alive at Mania 36, the same event where Taker blew up Carl Anderson on a roof. He chokeslammed Edge to literal Christian hell, and, you know, the Paul Bearer cement thing. But the most uncomfortable moment in Moody Mark's Book of Larks was hanging the Big Boss Man. At WrestleMania 15, Taker fought the Shield's dad in a really bad Hell in a Cell match, the only notable part being the post-match angle which saw Bossman being lynched by Taker and the Brood. It was the peak of an uncomfortable run for Undertaker, where he did a whole bunch of weird blood and sex stuff that even the first season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer would roll its eyes at. It wasn't cool heel heat, it was just gross and made you not want to see Undertaker anymore because, you know, it's upsetting to see a man pretend to be hanged in public, like it would be upsetting to see a man pretend to have one of his eyes gouged. Oh. Number 7, CM Punk. CM Punk and The Undertaker have had 2 main feuds together, and both of them checked into the problematic hotel at the corner of Iffy Avenue and I don't know where this bit is going Boulevard. Their 2013 feud ended in the only good match at WrestleMania 29 and didn't really damage either man, but people had an issue with them using William Moody aka Paul Bearer's real life death for heat, including a bit where CM Punk gave himself an exfoliating scrub with the dead man's kayfabe ashes. A more objectively terrible feud was the one that Scariel and Cool Mo D Punk had in 2009. Punk had just come off the best feud of the year with Jeff Hardy, was World Heavyweight Champion, had main evented SummerSlam, and was doing the character work of his career thus far. Enter Undertaker, and oh no, the dead man crushed Punk. Their feud lasted 2 pay-per-views. At breaking point, Punk tapped out to Taker in 8 minutes, only retaining the title because of yet another Montreal screw job. Then at Hell in a Cell, he had his ass handed to him, losing the title to the Phenom in 10 minutes, vanishing from the world title picture for almost 2 years. Number 6, DDP Yo No. Fun fact, we all like The Undertaker at WrestleTalk. Ollie likes him so much he has a tattoo of The Undertaker's balls on his balls. But in 2001, the readers of the Wrestling Observer voted Taker as their least favourite wrestler of that year. Part of that was Biker Taker's terrible habits of absolutely burying his opponents with all the power of 1.21 gigacenas. The worst victim to suffer at the hands of the American Badass was undoubtedly Diamond Dallas Page. In WCW, DDP was a legend, a popular main event face with one of the most over finishes in wrestling. In WWE, he was a creepy stalker who built a probably very bad smelling shrine to Undertaker's wife Sarah before getting routinely demolished by Big Evil. He was battered at King of the Ring, killed alongside Canyon at SummerSlam, and even got pinned by Sarah on Raw. If you'd never heard of DDP before, you would have thought he was an abject loser, and that is bad business. Number 5, the castrate Khali. Me, use The Undertaker to make new stars. WWE, okay, we'll have the great Khali squash him. Also me, no, not like that. Remembering how well fans in 1993 reacted to the popular Undertaker being dominated by famed tall man who couldn't wrestle Giant Gonzalez, in 2006 WWE were intent on having the Undertaker dominated by Great Khali, who was a tall man who couldn't wrestle. At Judgment Day 2006, Great Khali pinned Taker with a single foot on his chest, and while there's something cathartic about that after years of people being fed to Scalm and Rushdie, it sacrificed a proven draw for the sake of someone who demonstrably had no longevity in the industry because he couldn't fucking walk, never mind wrestle. Khali is, by all accounts, a lovely bloke, but WWE squandered the shock factor of Taker being squashed on someone with his limitations. Number 4, the American dumbass. It's important to make a first impression. That's why Ollie makes a point of signing off all his emails with, "Now I am your beautiful son." Undertaker vanished from people's screens in 1999 to rehab a groin injury. He returned at Judgment Day 2000 with a brand new character and a shiny new vroom vroom. The American Badass made his debut that night, and for some reason, WWE booked him to look like a total Richard head. Rock and Triple H were fighting in an Iron Man match. It was the last few minutes, the score was tied, and DX was attacking The Rock. Out vroomed the biker mouse from Mark to make the save. Hooray! Except this evening of the score got The Rock disqualified at the last second, meaning Triple H won the championship, and Undertaker stood there confused and crossed like he got his dates mixed up and missed a headline set by Limp Bizkit, his favourite band. Like, couldn't Triple H have cheated to win the match, then have Undertaker make the save during a post-match beatdown? Like, why did WWE do this? Couple a huge return and a huge gimmick shift with a gaffe that made Undertaker look dumb and made all the fans unhappy during his big comeback. Number 3, the terrorism thing. So we've covered Muhammad Hassan in another list, so if you want the full story on that character, check that video out. Brief recap, on an episode of SmackDown, a bunch of dudes very much rocking 2000s terrorist realness attacked The Undertaker on behalf of a Middle Eastern character called Muhammad. That episode of SmackDown aired on the 7th of July 2005, also known as 7/7, after 4 men linked with Al-Qaeda set off a number of bombs in London, killing over 50 people. The episode was pre-taped, and the Undertaker vs. Terrorists angle was edited out of the SmackDown broadcast in the UK, but the footage was left in for the US broadcast, with the only edit being a bit of text at the beginning of the episode advising parental discretion, and that is fucking oof. Number 2, in the streak midwinter. At Mania 30, little Brock Lesnar, the love child of Augustus Gloop and a Power Thirst commercial, hit a third F5, broke the streak, and all our hearts. There are many who thought that the streak should never have ended, that it was too precious for this world. You could go round and round on whether or not Brock would have been a huge star regardless, but there's few that can argue that Taker's WrestleMania career after that loss didn't get real sad real fast. Mania 31's story was, is Undertaker washed up now? Mania 32's was, Taker's fighting the boss's son for reasons that haven't been explained. 33's was, sad old man tells wet-haired youth to get out of his garden. 34's was, WWE doesn't think Taker can go anymore, so they sent him out there against John Cena to do a gif instead of a match. And 35's was, Undertaker died on the way back to his home planet. Sure, Undertaker's advancing years likely would have made his matches harder to watch regardless, but the total lack of hype surrounding the Phenom these days goes to show that if the streak had to end, no matter who to or when, that should have been the last we saw of the Deadman. Number 1.5, the Under Frazier. They sent him out there for all of 2015, his last good year, with this tossed salad and scrambled ass haircut, and I do not forgive them. And number 1, the Prince of Darkness. If Undertaker had retired at WrestleMania 30, it would have been very sad. He would have gone out on a bad match looking totally beaten, which would have given his legacy a small but noticeable ding. However, he would have avoided becoming something far worse. He would not have become Mr. Saudi Arabia, Prince Mohammed bin Salman's favorite toy. Taker's prolonged involvement in the WWE Saudi deal has seen him compete in some of the worst matches of his career, dragging poor Shawn Michaels out of retirement, ludicrous angles like winning a gauntlet match he wasn't even part of to win a trophy he left behind, and of course nearly dying at the hands of a concussed Goldberg. WWE's constant catering to the whims of a wealthy wrestling fan who only cares about nostalgia have not only tarnished the legacy of one of its greatest ever performers, but put his life in considerable danger. Please stay retired, Undertaker. We love you so much. And that is our list. Did we miss any out? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to WrestleTalk for more lists and news. And never forget to jam that jam.